Well, welcome everybody. We are very pleased to have you here today for the second in the series, kind of a vendor boot camp, getting ready for the 2025 farmers market season or market season. We're really pleased today to have a panel of great speakers. Carly, if you wanted to give us a brief overview of Good Food Accelerator, that would be great. Great way to kick us off.
Totally. Thanks, Janie. Hi, all. My name is Carly Heron. I'm the program manager at the Good Food Accelerator. And we have Anthony Adams, who's the program coordinator at the Good Food Accelerator, in the room with us. The Good Food Accelerator is a program of Good Food Catalyst. We assist food and beverage entrepreneurs in the city of Chicago and beyond through accelerator programs. We have Go to Market, which is a 2-month early stage educational accelerator, and then we have Accelerate for Growth, which is our longer, more advanced accelerator program. We're assisting folks in about the farmers market to maybe 10 retail stores area of growth. We also assist restaurant owners and caterers and farmers doing value-add products. It's great to see a lot of new faces here. We are located out of East Garfield Park in the city of Chicago, and our programming is both in person at our office as well as remote like series like this. If you have any questions, I'll drop my email in the chat, and I'm looking forward to this session. Thanks for being here.
All right. Let me just share my screen real quickly. All right. All right, so we are in week 2. We really do hope that you will join us for the last 2 presentations that are scheduled for December 3rd and December 10th. Next week, with it being Thanksgiving, we are not going to be meeting. All right, so if you would, there are, I think, over 30 people on the call, and rather than take time to introduce everyone, if you would please use the chat to tell us your name, maybe where you're located, what products are you thinking about, what markets maybe do you attend or you're thinking about, and we can get to know you that way. Also, if you would use the questions for the chat, that would be great. I'm going to give you a super quick overview of ILFMA, but then we're going to dive into the meat of the presentation today, which is building your brand at the point of sale. We have great presenters, Kelly Lay, Natalie Kenny Marquez, and Katie Palomares. And so I'm going to let them introduce themselves to you as they each one present, because their backgrounds are pretty amazing, and I'll let them tell you about themselves. The Farmers Market Association supports local food and food systems. We primarily provide education and training. We also try to advocate for farmers and farmers markets wherever there are barriers, addressing those barriers, usually in partnership with other organizations, maybe at the state level, even in the legislative arena, and then also trying to promote farmers markets as much as we possibly can across the state. We do offer a variety of programs. We're about to set a date for our next market manager meetup, but that's not restricted to just market managers. Vendors or potential vendors might also want to join us. We are very excited about the Everything Local conference that is in January in Springfield from the 29th to 31st. Registration is open. It is now time to book your hotels, and ILFMA members receive a significant discount. I think it's 50% on your registration. There are presentations about farmers markets, but I think there are 7 or 8 tracks that run simultaneously, as well as some great keynote presentations that will highlight a lot of what's going on across the state of Illinois. So whether you want information on running a business or a farmer's market, whatever the case may be, the information is likely here. It's also a great opportunity for networking, so I highly recommend that you attend. ILFMA works on a whole lot of different projects. I'm not going to go into that, but maybe the one thing that I'd call to your attention is our resource page on the website. So whether you're interested in how to start a farmer's markets, how to accept Link and Snap at your market, or maybe as an individual vendor, whether you're interested in food safety, whether you're looking for recipes to promote, whatever the case may be. And now we're going to have the new vendor resources on this page as well. I highly recommend that you check that out. We also post information from partners that we find relevant to markets as well. Lots there. This is the time of year to update your business. And I don't know if any of you have ever heard of Market Maker, but it's a state level, actually it's a national level database of food and food related businesses. It's a directory, it's an online database. The profile in here, you create your own business profile. It is absolutely free. It allows you to be searchable, and it gets you to being a part of the Illinois Local Foods Network. And so I highly recommend, if you haven't done this before, please go ahead and create an opportunity for your own business to grow and be found by creating a profile within Market Maker. If you have one, please keep it up to date. We do find that there are some direct access portals that work directly into Market Maker. And so when your market and your information is most up to date, and it's affiliated with people you may know. So for example, it's a lot like other social media platforms where you can be tagged. So if you're part of a market, find the market profile and you can identify them as your market. They can identify you as their vendor. And it just tries to create kind of some order out of some of the tremendous number of businesses and markets and local food vendors that are out there. Highly recommend you take advantage of that opportunity. And also right now, the Illinois Department of Agriculture is launching an Illinois Grown campaign that's going to be coming very, very shortly. You'll probably have already seen a little bit about that. But if you have grown your product in Illinois, then you are more than welcome to apply to use this logo and then be part of an additional database and searchable database of Illinois grown products. So that's quickly about ILFMA. And I'm going to turn it over to Kelly.
Thanks, Janie. My name's Kelly Lay. I have a lot of things that I do. Most often people will interact with me as the local foods program manager for the Land Connection. So I help consumers to understand why they should buy from producers, farmers, and makers just like yourself. Besides that, I have my own cottage food business, Meadow Lane Farm. I produce jams, jellies, syrups, extracts, and a lot of things that make my health department stressed, including recently adding baby food through cottage food. I'm always answering questions about what you can and can't do and how to talk to health departments. And so, yeah, I've been a cottage food producer since 2019, 2018 or so. I helped with the new cottage food law that passed in 2021, spoke to our Illinois congressional people about why it was important. And then I led the team that wrote the first, not the first, but the new cottage food guide. And I've been a part of some of the revisions that'll be coming out soon. Love to answer questions about that. But before I did anything to do with cottage food, I worked in sales, kind of all over the place. And so I was talking to Janie about that, and she felt that that might be some pretty relevant information to everybody here. In my experience working with farmers markets and people selling, I think that often people miss a really critical component of table sales. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about something called the 7-second sales theory and about visual sales. Now, Natalie and Katie will have a ton more information to kind of fill this all out, but I'm here to kind of prime you on the whole idea. So to start, I used to do over $1 million worth of sales through the Home Depot for construction sales. So when they come in and they remodel your kitchen or your bathroom. Home Depot, a lot of people don't realize, is the #2 retailer in the world. So Walmart and then Home Depot. And Home Depot is considered to have one of the more, if not the most robust sales research and development. So they spend a lot of time understanding what makes somebody engage with and purchase. After I finished working 5 years with them, I moved over to Lowe's and did garden sales, which Lowe's specializes in how they arrange and how they move and change their displays to make sure that it's always engaging to you. So again, that visual idea. Now, the core kind of theory for both of them is this idea that a consumer, really, you have their attention span for 7 seconds. And that is from the moment while they're walking and they turn and they see your display, your booth, they walk in the front door of your store. You have their attention for about 7 seconds before they have made some sort of decision, whether they're willing to engage further or whether they've written you off. And capitalizing that 7 seconds can have huge impacts for being able to pull them through to the next step. Now, it's important to note that 7 seconds isn't them deciding what to buy. It's them deciding whether they will buy with you or consider buying from you. So you're just trying to open the door and keep it open for you to then talk to, engage, and move through to that next step. Now, the other critical component, I talked about, that engaging point, but a large part of that 7 seconds is completely visual. So at Home Depot, you have people in orange vests all over the place, but they actually expect 80% of the information that you will take in will come through visual means. So it'll come through what's displayed at eye level for you. It'll come through signage, labeling, making sure things look clean and orderly and well presented. And that is where the vast majority of information that somebody picks up comes from. Now, how that impacts us, if you've ever been at the farmer's market and you were walking by and a booth just looked very cluttered, the signage was really low and kind of hard to read. It felt like the signs had just lots and lots of tiny little print all kind of smashed together and colors all over the place. Or you felt like you couldn't really even tell what products they were selling or what, maybe you could see that they were selling cookies, but you couldn't see the cookies and you just kind of walked on. They missed that 7 seconds with you. And so all of that information, what happened well before they had a chance to talk to you. So I know I myself, I really love people. I know that sales are going to happen when I get a chance to talk to people. But if I only depend on that, I miss a large amount of sale potential in that kind of continuing conversation with consumers. Another simple way that this can impact you is actually the layout of your booth. So if your booth is very busy all the time and they have to step into your booth and it's kind of cluttered and there's lots of people and they're trying to move around things, a lot of people will just choose not to step in at all. Now, in that scenario, like I said, you already have a busy booth, so that's always a plus. But the more that we can make our displays, our storefronts, the path through uncluttered and easy to kind of flow so that there's not like these jumbles where people get caught up or they feel uncomfortable. They want to like look at something, but somebody's in the way. The more that we're able to really engage with and get them to select something that they're going to purchase. We have the benefit that we make small crafted goods or grow really high quality, amazing things. So one important thing with that 7 seconds is in 7 seconds, can they tell that you do anything special? Is there anything about the way that you're displaying your things? Is there anything very simple, short, and 7 seconds or less that tells them that you're special, that you have something unique, that you have something amazing? A really simple way that farmers do this is the concept that if you stack them high, they'll fly. So if you have lots of bountiful vegetables everywhere, they can see that you are that it's abundant and that it implies to the consumer, this is something I want to participate. This is abundance, this is quality, and it's all there and it's beautiful and it's colored and glittering. Whereas, if you have just a little bit out, they can't tell that you have more vegetables in your cooler. They're going to think that things are picked over, that maybe the really quality things have been selected. How that works when you have more crafted products. So I produce some really weird things. And those who know me are going to laugh about that. One of the things that I produce is a syrup made from immature green pine cones. That's a really unique thing. And so every time that I am out and selling, I will pick one unique thing and I'll make a simple, very easy to read sign that you can read from 20 feet away, because that's probably between 20 and 15 feet from wherever is where you start that 7-second timer. It's not when they're standing in your booth holding your sign reading it. It's very far away. So from 20 feet away, I have this very simple sign that calls out one thing that's very unique. Because even if they are not going to buy that, that sets the stage for, I have interesting things. You should step in, you should take a look. And now I've caught them for that 7 seconds. So again, what can you visually see at the start of that 7 seconds? And how are they moving in? They're also going to judge you in that 7 seconds. Are you friendly? Are you making eye contact with people? Are you giving them space to shop and not immediately jumping at them? Or are you sitting kind of in the back? There's a lot of clutter behind you. You're looking at your phone. You don't look like you're having a good time. Those are all visual things that are going to hit in that 7 seconds.
Oh,
So I thought that those kind of facts would help preface some of the other conversations that you're going to have with Natalie and Kenny. I'm always happy to answer questions related to these things, or even look at what your displays are and talk to you. I've provided an email to Janie that I'm sure she'll share. But I just wanted to pop in with those kind of quick facts, answer some questions, and make myself available to you.
thank you, Kelly. We really appreciate that. All right, going to turn it over to Natalie.
All right. Make sure that you can see my screen. Thumbs up. Awesome. I'm Natalie Kenny Marquez. I'm the owner of Grow Marketing and Communications. I'm based out of Champaign, Illinois. I'm on the board of the Illinois Farmers Market Association as well. I got involved with that organization when I was a market manager and ran Urbana's Market at the Square for about 5 years before starting my business. So love farmers market, love marketing. So this is the great mix of all of those things together. Let me make sure I have my screen open in case I see any questions come through. Otherwise, we will get started. So I want to talk to you today about expanding kind of the marketing that you do, not just at the point of sale, but also preparing your customers before they get there, or potential customers, and then after they leave. And so to, kind of further go into what Kelly was saying, making sure that your booth is dressed for success. The Farmers Market Association, we have a document that we'll share with you that has some helpful bullet points that we use when we go through our market manager certification program. So this is kind of a little teaser of some of the things you might learn in that class that helps you kind of get your marketing checklist put together. That includes making sure that you have a tent, a tablecloth, a proper way to store and display things. Like Kelly was talking about, abundance is key, but where do you keep all of that abundance when the table is full, and making sure that it's, maybe not on the ground or near animals, or clean in a clean place, making sure they have proper signage and tags, just like Kelly was talking about. If you do have other people working with you, make sure that you look like you're working together. And so if someone has questions, they can identify the other individuals helping out in your booth. And that if you do have packaging, ensuring that your brand is incorporated into that. It's easy for me to tell you to have tent, tablecloth, tags, and packaging and hope that it's branded well, but what does that really mean to have that branded? And so some considerations to think of when it comes to branding your business and bringing that into your booth at the farmer's market is thinking about your logo and having variations of your logo depending on how you're using it at the point of sale, in your packaging, on your signage, on your tent. I put on here an example that has nothing to do with farmers markets. It's actually my friend's business that we worked together to make some variations of her logo so that she has logos that are actually that's flipped, horizontal and vertical. I should have fixed that when I brought it over, but you want to have a logo, as my kids would say, a hot dog and a hamburger style of logo, a vertical and a horizontal style of logo. So if if you have a horizontal logo and you put it on like that flap, the front flap of your tent, that'll fit really well and stretch out a little bit. But if you have a vertical logo, that might work really well if you have a vertical banner, because it takes up a little more of the space. So having some logo variations is helpful, especially when it comes to packaging. That's a really big thing when I work with businesses and we work on different packaging. I was working with a meat processor recently, and we had logo variations based on the size of sticker that they needed based on the type of packaging they were using, whether it was a really big sticker or small sticker, because we had to make sure that we incorporated all of the correct language in there. Like Kelly was talking about with cottage food, there's certain language and things that you have to have on your packaging. So having variations of your logo will help to accommodate for that. Also, having a set color palette is so helpful, because then once you have that, you can, maybe more easily get into some consistency in the color of the tent awning that you get, in the tablecloths that you use, in the tags and the signage that you use, so that it all looks like you, like your brand. And so I have a color palette that I used. This is actually for that meat processor. This is the color palette that we picked for them. We tried to go with some seasonal colors. So you kind of have like a fall, spring, summer, winter variation, so that we could use that for different applications. Even further into your branding beside your color and your logo, thinking about, is there certain imagery that you're going to use, any kind of little icons or little graphics in the signage that you use at your booth, and making sure that you have a consistent font. That way, if people are reading the tags, it all looks very much the same. Kind of like how Kelly was talking about, there is a very specific brand at Home Depot and a very specific brand at Lowe's, and any of the stores that we go to, they use a very specific font and color scheme, and it looks like their business. And I mean, that's what our customers are used to. I know the farmers market is different environment. We're doing different things, but the customer is still a customer. So having something that helps with consistency is really good. I like Canva for these things. Setting up templates is super great. You could have a little template for your price tags or descriptions of products, and have it made in Canva and be able to update it week to week if you have seasonal items coming out. That way it's not a huge burden on you, because you got a billion other things happening between market days that you have to work on. So having some templates set up with your colors, your fonts, will make it a lot easier to incorporate this into your day-to-day. As you know, we could come up with the most beautiful booth design, but if it gets really windy that day or it happens to rain, it's going to blow over and it's going to be a pain. So thinking about your setup and your safety is huge. I think Dale might be on this call, but if I didn't mention safety and setup, he would probably be frustrated with me. We have to make sure that you accommodate for tent weights. And I've seen some really cute tent weights that are branded to the business in the colors that they use. So it doesn't have to be ugly and clunky to really be helpful and useful. If you are using signage, you don't want it to be a sail for your tent and it, help it blow away. So thinking about where you put the signage, how you display things. If it is too tall on a table, will the wind come and knock it over? So really thinking about all of these things as you put your display together. And also, how are you going to get it into your vehicle, and how is the load in and load out going to be? And if it's going to take forever, will you make enemies with your neighbors because you're blocking their access to get into their spot? So coming up with something that's really easy to set up and tear down, that looks like your brand, that's consistent in the look and feel from week to week will be really important for you and for your customers. Signage, we've mentioned this a few times, so it must be important. Having good signage is key for people that are browsing that might not know what a product is. I think we've probably all encountered people at the market that may be embarrassed to ask what something is. Like they should probably know what that vegetable is, but they'd rather not ask. But if you have a sign that says what it is or explains what it is, that's super helpful. Even about a short description, not too cluttered, but something that explains what it is, maybe how to use it, where it's grown, maybe how it was grown. Those are all great things to have on your signage. I'm not saying that the photo in this slide is a perfect example, but it is an example of everything having some sort of signage on there. And I don't think this was from Illinois, so I thought it might be safe to use it as an example. But I think Katie's going to show some examples later, so that might be good to look at those. Again, if you accept Link or Wick or anything like that, to be sure that that's front and center, easy to see for customers that are walking by. If something is hidden, it's not going to be purchased. Generally, people aren't climbing into your booth and like scooping around for things and looking for stuff, maybe the way they do at like a grocery store. I don't know, but I wouldn't hide anything. I'd just say anything that is meant to be sold should be put out unless it's backfill that you'll put out on display to keep that look of abundance like Kelly was talking about. And of course, brand everything. Anything you can possibly brand, do it so that your customers, when they get home, they remember where they got that from because the packaging looks like you, the sticker, the label looks like you, etc. Some other things that are complementary marketing to help build this journey to point of sale. Like I mentioned, I'm not just talking about the day of, but kind of before the market day and after the market day is having a good digital presence, having a good relationship with your market manager. And so we'll go into what some ideas for those things are. The first is a website. I would say it's maybe not 100% necessary, but it is 100% helpful to have some kind of website or web presence, or at least have something about your business where you can refer people back to, and making sure that the website's easy to navigate. It doesn't have to be the most fancy, expensive website. It just has to, have really good visual messaging, have a good experience for your customer, have some good content on there so your customer can continue to connect with you on non-market days. I do put SEO on there. That means search engine optimization. It would be ideal if when you set up your website, you have proper page titles and descriptions, so that just helps your website be found. If someone is searching for you, in my experience, when I was a market manager, I took a lot of phone calls during the week of customers that were like, I think they were in row 3 and the name farm was in their business name. And I got these carrots and I'm like, everybody's got farm in their name. And there's a ton of people in row 3. So, they weren't even sure where to start, like Googling or looking to find the person. And so having a place that I could send them during the week as a market manager was always really helpful. And making sure that everything is, again, branded and consistent with that business. Leveraging social media is a great low to no cost way to continue to connect with your customers before and after market day. Not only does it help build awareness, but it also helps you increase your customer base because your customers might tag you or share something about your business to their friends who aren't your customers yet, but might become your customers, because that's how social networking works. It's a great way to connect with your current customers, keeping them posted on what to expect from week to week, what's in season, what's cool, what's new, what you're doing. Your day-to-day is super exciting to non-farming and food business people. And so you might think it might be every day or mundane, but the rest of us want to know how it works. Like it's cool. And so making sure that you're on the right platforms is also important. So you're not wasting your time on all these efforts and you're connecting with the customers where they're at. And so it might be helpful to do like a little survey at your market booth and just, like casually ask what social media do you use? And so that way, that you're spending time on the right platform where your customers are at. I mean, Facebook and Instagram still seem to be kind of the top two. TikTok is obviously very popular, but I'm a little hesitant on investing too much time and effort into that without knowing the longevity of that platform, perhaps. And so Facebook and Instagram usually are the top ones. YouTube is great too, but that's a whole other workshop that we would need to talk about YouTube and video and things like that. I don't want to overwhelm you more than I already might be. So if you're on YouTube, that's great. If you're curious about it, let me know. I can give you some ideas for incorporating that. But otherwise, Facebook and Instagram are pretty great. Don't bite off more than you can chew. It's important to just stay consistent. And so 2 platforms is usually where I tell people that's good enough. Just like at your booth, just like on your website, you need to brand your digital profiles. So your Facebook and Instagram should have your logo on it so that customers are certain they're on the right page, they're on the right profile. You can customize some of the banner images on some of the platforms. And so that's a great way to show off some of the gorgeous pictures of your products. Making sure that you have a good bio or about language on your profiles is really important. Link in bio is something with Instagram. As you know, we can't specifically share links in Instagram. So one way to get around that is sending people back up to the link that's located in your bio. There are other ways to do that same process now that involve direct messaging. And so that's also an option, but without getting too fancy, sharing links on Facebook and sharing images and content on Instagram is great. Making sure your information is updated. You have some great seasonality in your businesses. And so taking advantage of that on your profiles is great. Just making sure that you're keeping that up to date. You probably won't want a picture of sweet corn on your profile image in May, unless you have a way to grow sweet corn in May. Otherwise, keep that to July or August or something like that. I also think it's great to have a Google business profile. Another great way to get your information out there, especially if you have a brick and mortar or place for people to come back to. And just like Janie said, making sure that you have a market maker profile and that you're keeping it up to date. When you are pushing content out there between market days, the goal is to be engaging. A long time ago, it was super important to get likes and followers, but now we don't just want likes and followers. We want them to comment and to share and to do things. And so being engaging is key. You can be engaging by crafting unique captions, having some sort of call to action. I mean, don't yell at your customers every day, buy this, but maybe share educational things or things that will make them aware of other things going on. Share information that is complementary to what you're doing about your neighbors at the market. Collaboration and community is really key with successful farmers markets. So it's a great way to be able to be engaging and share some of that information online. And again, provide updates on what's in season. People don't know what they don't know, and new customers to the market are learning this information. And so don't hesitate to share. And always, I think with farmers markets, it's a great place to create a sense of urgency. This is in season, there's not that much. There's only a little bit. It's only here for a little while, and so people get excited to come to the market. And another way to do that beyond social media is with email marketing. I love a good template where you can just plug and send stuff out and keep people updated. Find ways to get people on your email list, either on market day, or you could incentivize people to sign up for the list by, throwing in a little bit extra for them to sign up to get the email. I don't know. There's all sorts of ways that you can do it, but as long as you're making it easy for them to sign up, and using it as a tool to not, over send or put too much stuff in their inbox, but use it as a tool to engage before or after market day is super helpful. I talked really fast, so I'd stay within my time frame, but that was a lot of information about marketing before, during, after market day. That's my contact information. I'd love to connect with you if you have any questions, or to go back over anything that I quickly talked about, but I want to make sure there's time for Katie to talk.
Yes. Can I ask you one quick question, Natalie?
Yes.
Is the free profile in Canva a good enough, or do you have to pay for something like that?
I think free is great. It's probably going to be better than whatever you had before. At least everything is all in one place. And so if that's a good starting point to kind of get your feet wet and learn what it's capable of, and once you find how helpful it is, then you'll probably be inclined to maybe buy the paid version. I think it's like $15 a month or something like that. For nonprofits, you can get a free pro account, I believe. But yeah, it is very helpful. You have so many things to do, and if you can create some templates in Canva and be able to quickly hop in, update, print something out, it really does make this whole branding process just a little bit easier.
Great, thank you. All right, now I'm going to turn it over to Katie. All right. Our hope today was to go from why this is important to maybe some of the hows, and then some application of how a farmers market business is doing some of this this work.
Okay, is everyone able to hear me and see the slides?
Yes.
Okay. So my name's Katie. I'm from Mighty Greens Farm. So just quickly about us, my husband and I started the farm back in 2014, and we've always had a really strong focus on growing high quality produce for our local community, and trying to do that year round. So we have been selling year round at local farmers markets for, I think, 10 or 9.5 years. We were trying to figure out like when exactly did we start, but it's been about 10 years that we've been selling at the farmers markets. So, I know we've talked a lot, so my goal was to kind of just have a lot of visual and pictures and talk through. I know from the introduction, some people are selling produce, but it sounds like there's a pretty wide variety of products that everyone's looking to sell at the farmers market. So we'll kind of start. This is one of our market displays, and I was trying to also show banners. So we have 3 tents now. So we have multiple different banners, one that we put inside behind the produce. So as people are shopping, they can see our logo, and it's large. And then I also had this is one of those like vertical banners, and it just kind of rolls out. So it's really easy and compact to pack and have at the market. I will say this is one on a really windy day, these vertical ones that sometimes doesn't come out because it can be a sale for the tent or just a hazard in general. So we have our logo there. It's pretty large. You can see my husband, Carlos, next to it. So it's a large banner. You know, we chose to, especially with farm, our products are there on the table, people can see it. So we have some different pictures, again, you know, trying to say, to show people through the images what we do. So, you know, there's a picture on there at the very bottom that's just, hey, look how pretty our farm is. Isn't this idyllic? And then there's one with my husband with a walk behind tiller to really try to evoke this is, you know, we're using hand tools, that's we're only doing a shallow till on over the beds, not, you know, huge tractors where we're tilling up acre upon acre. There's a family picture in there, which our customers like to tell us now, like, oh, you're going to need a new banner because our boys are very quite smaller there. So we're going to have to upgrade pretty soon here. But so kind of minimal. And again, just trying to get people to have a feel for what type of farming we do. And we put that one on the outside. So again, our tent tends to get very crowded. There are points in the market where people probably can't see the produce because there's so many people in there. So that having those visuals kind of outside of the tent, when we have more product too, we'll do some tables out front of the tents as well. Again, just so there's kind of different levels of being able to see what we're selling. On the table, it's really about, you know, you've heard, how are you showing off your product essentially? So we spend a lot of time, you know, we wash everything. We make sure there's not excess dirt. We think about, okay, this takes more time, but cutting off the roots of the green onions, people like how those look better than really long roots that are hard to clean. So, and then also creating different levels of height. Like, so for our tables, we have these old like Coca-Cola crates and we stack them too high across and put the tablecloth. So we kind of create that height in the back to help separate. A lot of different, you know, we'll go to like home goods stores or Goodwill and thrift for different baskets. I'll look for baskets, we get wooden crates. I often will look for some of those like different metal type containers that can change up the height and also just help delineate between product, especially you're going for abundance, you want a lot, but you also just don't want it all piled onto the table. We also talk a lot about contrast. So, you know, we'll be setting up and my husband will be like, what if I put the celery here? And I'm like, no, too much green. And so trying to, depending on the season, sometimes it's just a wall of green, but trying to break up the colors. Oh, and I should say, so we have, you can kind of see it in this picture, tags for every single item. It's, if you don't put a tag out or you forget, it does not sell. It just doesn't. So, you know, and to make it, we had these like metal signs that we could do the chalk marker on. And over years, they just started to get a little more messy. They were difficult to fix. You can't fully, I could never get them fully clean. So I kept all those metal stands, but then I've just moved to creating tags where I'm printing so it's easier for people to read. I just do white and black because it's very visible and try to do, you can kind of see. So like I'll have, it says green onions above it, but the main information I want is really large. So you can see it from a distance and I just get the magnetic tape that you can pack. So I like laminate all of these and have a container, but then I can just pop them onto the metal stands. Because especially when you have a lot of different product and you kind of have to have a constant supply of tags. So having a system to manage it is helpful. And you know, buy a laminator too is one of my pieces of advice, because the rainy markets, everything gets destroyed. So for greens, we do a lot of bagged greens. So if you put bagged greens, and even if it's spinach, which you feel like that's, people should know what that looks like. It doesn't have a label, it will not sell. So, on every single label that we have our logo on there. We have the name of the product, price, the harvest date, and the size. So, and for some of our specialty blends, we created, and I've changed these over the years, I'll probably change them again. But kind of, I always say, listen to what are the questions you're getting asked over and over again, and trying to put that information on to the tag. So you might still need to repeat, but just kind of paying attention to what you're getting asked over and over again, so that, hey, this is the information my customers really want, or this is what, they're not getting from my current setup, my current labeling. So one of the things we always get asked is, what's in this? So in this last iteration of labels, I included an ingredient list. Then often people are like, well, I don't know those greens, but it's listed at least now. And so in this, going back to the display too, we'll use these wooden crates. I mean, everyone has them at farmers markets. They're really can be useful. You can kind of nest 3. So you put like 1 in and then the third over. So it's nice for market and trying to be concise, but it can really help to add height to your table, to delineate products. And they're like, I want to say like $12 at the hardware store. So it can be a nice thing to kind of help with how your stand looks. I like to pull in, like I said, some different, I think I found the Farm Fresh local at like a Hobby Lobby, or maybe it was Home Goods, one of those types of stores. But so I'll try to find some like metal containers as well, just to switch things up so it doesn't look too uniform. So for some of our product that maybe people aren't as familiar with, or it's not pretty, so like watermelon radish is a good example. They're outside of them look pretty not impressive. So that's one, I've seen where people will maybe take one and cut it open to be on display. So that's an option. I've found making these cards where I can have that picture so people can see what it looks like. This is our root wall, so we like pre-bag a lot of the root crops, so just not visually appealing, and that's where I really like to have use some more detailed labels. So I'll put like how to use, because that's always getting asked how to use items. I might put fun facts on, nutrition information, so I switch it up, kind of just based on something for people to read and engage and maybe have some interest. It often also sparks questions. So they might read something on there and then ask about, and then you've kind of pulled them in, you have that one-to-one conversation, and often, that can help progress a sale, maybe something someone wasn't thinking of getting, but once they have that more one-on-one conversation, it can be useful. So, and so I'll do that with like, I'll pay attention to the crops that aren't selling well. Okay, I need more information. And then kind of notice, do people interact with it differently once, you have more information? I know this has been said, remember, you are part of your brand. So especially shopping, people who come to farmers markets, most of them want to get to know you, want to have a relationship. So it's really important to, engage with your customers, start to get to know, especially if it's people that, you see over and over again. We'll try to, ask names and do our very best to remember them. But even knowing, remembering what they usually buy or their favorite salad blend, like those little things go a really long way. And, kind of building that, they feel like, oh, I know you, you're my farmer. They want to come back, they want to support you. It definitely changes the relationship. So remembering that you are part of the brand. So how you show up at market matters big time. And you can't see the gray hoodie I'm wearing that is branded, just blocked, but it does have the Mighty Greens logo on there. So, once you have your logo, making sure you're wearing your gear. We have different hats and shirts and sweatshirts. We've used the print on demand services because you can like trial and get so many pieces a month at a discount without having to hold any inventory. So we've used that. We have some up on the website, but it's also just kind of our way to get more gear for us to wear to market without having to go to a company that requires a certain print count because sometimes that's just not feasible when you're trying to get your business off the ground. Sorry, I'm trying to go fast and not Janie, interrupt if I'm taking too long. Another thing at markets, really making sure that you're building connections with other vendors. So, over all the years at market, you get to know some other vendors. One of the nice things when we first started doing some slower markets or those indoor, you had more time to talk to vendors. Sometimes we're at the outdoor Batavia Farmers Market and so busy we'll feel like we don't talk or see anyone, but taking the time to go and introduce yourself, get to know other vendors, what they're doing, what they're selling. So we have like Gindo's hot sauce, who we've known for years now. We try every summer to do like a special hot sauce. They put our logo on the packaging. They sell it at market. They're usually right next to us. They'll sell it in their store on the website. Mary from Gindo's was just on, she did like a WGN cooking show and she got our microgreens. And so, we get a shout out there. So it can just be a way to, you never know what's going to come of it. So just kind of building those relationships, seeing where you can collaborate. Another woman who does preserves, she'll get our onions and make a marmalade. And then in her ingredient list, it, names our farm, a bakery, that we met through market, using our greens, giving a shout out. So those are just like really great opportunities to kind of get more involved in the local community and have that collaboration. But my main thing is every market is an opportunity to observe. So, you're always going, pay attention. How are people interacting with your booth, your products? What are the questions they're asking? What sells well? What doesn't sell well? If you move things around, how does that change? So it's just like constantly be taking in the data and making adjustments, seeing how that affects sales. So this is my get to know kohlrabi sign. It would, without fail, it was like everything around the kohlrabi sold. And we just had this stack of kohlrabi. It's getting a little better. People are becoming more familiar with this vegetable, but so I created this get to know kohlrabi where I just put, again, ways to use it, some nutrition facts, a fun fact, obviously our logo, and I just made it in Publisher, laminated it to fit into a 8x11 frame that I got at Goodwill. So it lives in our market box. And so the joke is always like, once enough stuff clears out and there's space on the table, I'll be like, okay, time to sell kohlrabi. And we put the sign out and we've only sold 1 or 2 bunches and then it starts selling. So it's just something that, okay, because of observation, noticing what wasn't selling, I don't worry about carrots. Carrots sell. I don't have special signs for carrots during the outdoor season. But for those lesser known, kind of finding a way to get people interested in it. And then switch it up, experiment, always think, how can I change this? How can we get better? And I promise other vendors. So the one picture is, if not our very first indoor farmers market, one of the first. I spray painted our farm name onto a burlap runner. And 10 years later, this was what I think from a couple weeks ago at our indoor farmers market. So we've learned a lot over the 10 years, and we'll keep making adjustments, keep learning and trying to get better and better at this.
Thank you.
And so,
Thank you so much. Oh,
yeah. Oh, I
do you
was
want to
going to
leave?
say,
Yeah.
I just included this in, so these aren't like you have to do any of this, but just so this is how we made it happen on our farm. And I put my market box essentials on the
That's
bottom.
great. Thank you. We do have some questions, so I did want to leave just a minute for that. One of the questions for you, Katie, was where are the metal stands for the labels from? Where did you get those?
It was either Hobby Lobby or like trying to think the other one on Randall Road. One of those.
Okay.
All
right.
Arts
So
and
like
crafts store.
like a craft, like Michael's, Hobby Lobby.
Yeah,
some of those
Michael's,
kinds of
Hobby
stores.
Lobby, but they're just metal and you can do the chalk. So I usually keep
Okay.
like a chalk marker in my market box because sometimes I'll revert to that if I've lost a sign or something, but
Okay. All right. Other questions that everybody has? I know we're fast approaching our hour, but I think there was a lot of good information shared. So any final questions that people have that you'd like us to answer? One of our panelists to answer? All right. Well, I just want to thank everybody for being here today. We really appreciate you participating in the webinar. Certainly invite you to come back on December 3rd and December 10th. And we will make a recording of the webinar available as soon as we get that. So we'll send that to Anthony and he can send it out. So any other questions, comments? Well, thank you to our presenters. Oh, go ahead, Carly.
Yeah, Jeannie, I think you already said it, but just to clarify, we are off next week for Thanksgiving.